Have you ever felt like you're totally in the zone? Like everything is going your way? Have you noticed how when you're in those moments, you're very focused on all of the really good things that are happening? And it gets you in tune with noticing more of the good things as they're coming into your experience. Well, I had some thoughts about that. And it came to me in kind of a funny way, but I'm going to share it with you and elaborate on how we can influence the positive experience moment to moment. Everything is working out for me. It's working out for you too. It just takes believing that it is. We can have, be, and do anything. The key is to care about how you feel and choose to feel good right now. This morning, I was blow drying my hair, and for some reason, the idea popped into my head about bad hair days and good hair days. And I thought, you know how we talk about that? We talk about it generalized like, oh, I'm just having a bad hair day. Or we're like, oh, it's a really good hair day. And it really has become kind of a slang term just to define what kind of day you're having. But there's truth in it, right? Sometimes your hair is great and it does exactly what you want it to do. And then other times it's untamable and it will not do a single thing that you want it to do. And I started thinking about what could cause that. You know, we don't really think about what causes a good hair day and a bad hair day. And if we do try to understand it, we usually consider things like the shampoo you're using or the humidity in the air or whatever it might be that's environmentally influencing the way that your hair turns out. Obviously, this can be expanded to understand things other than just hair. But that topic just got me thinking about our influence on the experience that we're having and how a lot of those tasks, like blow drying your hair, are things that we do on autopilot. And it's like we're engaging in the motion, we're taking care of the task, but really we're not focused a whole lot on what we're doing at the time. It's something we do all the time. It's coming second nature. What we're really doing is thinking. And most times it's Autobot thinking. It's not anything that we are aware of. Our mind is just going. We're probably considering what we're going to do in our day, or we're considering what happened yesterday, or if there's an upset in our lives that's at the forefront of how we're feeling, then that's probably what we're thinking about. And so then I started thinking, what if that is literally creating what kind of hair day you have? I'm trying to think of another comparable example besides hair, because my husband popped into my mind and he's bald. So he obviously would not be relating with a good hair day versus a bad hair day. And that goes for anybody who doesn't have hair. So I'm trying to think of something else. Well, here's another analogy that we use to describe a good day versus a bad day. Waking up on the wrong side of the bed. Which is kind of a weird one when you think about it, because don't you always get up on the same side of the bed? I guess some people don't. I guess some people sleep all over their bed. I'm like a right on my side of the bed kind of person. I do not cross the center line. My husband has his side and I have my side. And I need my space when I'm sleeping because I sleep really hot and I cannot snuggle when I'm sleeping. This is my spot where I sleep right here. And I don't move around a whole lot outside of where my parameters are on my side of the bed. So that's a harder one for me to relate to, waking up on the wrong side of the bed. I don't ever get up on any other side of the bed except my side of the bed. But I guess it doesn't really matter. The point is that when I was blow drying my hair and thinking about good hair days and bad hair days, I started thinking, what if it's not environmental at all? What if it has nothing to do with the hair itself? What if it has to do with what's going on in my mind when I am focused on the task of doing my hair? And that determines whether it turns out good or whether it turns out bad. Because we know that what we think about is what we get. And in something like that, where there's very little resistance, it's not something that you are thinking about a lot, unless, of course, you have an issue with your hair. If you have an issue with your hair and it's something you think about all the time, then that would definitely muddy the waters. But for me, it's something I do as part of my routine in the morning, and I don't think about it much. It's just a task that I complete and then move on. So it made sense to me to think about how if I was doing my hair and thinking about drama in my life, that I might start noticing that my hair's not doing what I want it to do. And how if I was standing there doing my hair and thinking about all the wonderful things that are going on in my life and all the exciting things that are going on with the podcast and my career, that maybe I'd be like, wow, my hair's really nice today. And realizing this made me think that we have more influence in each given moment than we're even really aware of. Because how often are we really tuning into what we're thinking about? Usually we're doing that with that intention. When we meditate or when we're trying to solve a problem or answer a question, that's usually when we are consciously aware of what we're thinking. And we allow that to flow and observe it and see where it takes us. But most of the time, thoughts are on autopilot. And we are just thinking Autobots, walking around from one task to the next and not really aware of what's going on in our minds. I think that that determines how things are playing out as you are completing your daily tasks. Actually, that thought did come to me this morning, but something happened yesterday which actually kind of got me onto this train of thinking. It was right after I showered again, but that shouldn't come as any surprise considering that the shower is my thinking time, my inspiration time. So my time in the bathroom getting ready in the morning, I have a lot going on in my mind. And I do tune into it quite a bit because it really is that time where I feel inspired and I get ideas for the podcast and I think about spirituality and my place in the world. And it really is just a time of reflection for me. So yesterday, when I'm getting ready to get dressed and I'm putting lotion on, and this same kind of thought occurred to me that here I am going through a task and I'm not really enjoying the task because it's just something I'm doing. It's something I got to check off my list so I can move on to the next thing so that I can be ready for the day and then get focused on the podcast, which really is what I'm trying to get to as I'm going through all these steps to get myself ready for the day. But something had me slow down and realize that I enjoy this task. Putting lotion on myself allows me to, sorry, I'm getting images of Buffalo Bill in Silence of the Lambs. And I'm sure that I'm not the only one when you think about putting lotion on the skin who's having that come up for them. But anyway, this is something that could feel good. And it does. But I'm not usually consciously focused on how it feels. Because that came up and I realized it, I started thinking about mindfulness. And I've talked about mindfulness a little bit on the podcast and how it's used in therapy to help people to be living in the moment, take you out of your head and get you into the experience of now. Living right here and being mindful of what is going on in your experience right now. So here I am putting lotion on, and I start to consciously feel it. And that led to massaging a little bit and actually really enjoying the experience. So I could have been focused on my thoughts about everything I had to do and all the things that I was not yet getting to because I'm getting myself ready for the day. And that would have some degree of stress in it. Because whenever you're thinking about a task that needs to be done that you're not currently working on, there's stress that comes with that. Maybe not a lot, just kind of passive stress. But instead, I came into the moment of what I was doing right now, and that it was enjoyable. And then my focus on it allowed me to contribute more enjoyment to it, which then heightened the experience and allowed me to feel even more satisfaction in what I was doing. So I realized it when it was happening, and I thought, this could happen all the time. This could happen from moment to moment. And imagine what that day would be like when you move from this moment of enjoyment to this moment of enjoyment and on and on and on. And I know it's possible because I know that in every moment there is something that you can focus on that contributes to your sense of satisfaction. And usually it's not what's going on up in the mind. It's not those passive thoughts that are contributing to the positivity. It's really coming into the moment, looking around, sensing, what am I enjoying right now the most in this moment? And then when you find that focus, you find whatever it may be that is contributing some kind of positivity and satisfaction in that moment, you can focus on it so much that you can actually contribute more to it and literally raise your vibration right then and there in that moment. Now, that paired with the good hair day versus bad hair day topic, which came into my experience this morning, I realized that it's not just about enjoying each moment or finding something to focus on that can be some sense of joy or satisfaction, and then contributing to it to allow for it to be more so. It actually is creating outcomes for each given moment. And that's because your mind, your thoughts, they follow your attention. And allowing yourself to get out of those autobot thoughts and come into the moment to specifically look for something to enjoy and allow it to gain momentum and grow. Now, whatever task you're doing has the best chance at a positive outcome, like a good hair day. This is how some people have everything working out for them all the time, because they're in that state of appreciation, in that state of satisfaction, in moment-to-moment time, to where the universe has gained so much momentum with that kind of focus that it has some speed going at dishing out those moments, dishing out more manifestations that are coming into the person's experience for them to find more enjoyment moment to moment to moment to moment to moment. So not only are you just observing what you can appreciate in each moment, not only are you contributing to it by focusing on it and actually giving it the energy to become more, it's now gaining momentum and offering outcomes, which are manifesting just as time goes on and as you complete tasks, which then allow you to feel satisfied more and more and more. Am I explaining this well? I really hope I am, because when I had this realization, I thought, I'm onto something here. I'm onto something that really explains law of attraction and how life can be really, really fun and satisfying. I know that's what we want. That's what we all want. We want to be happy.
Would you like to have an ad-free experience? I know you probably have my intro and my outro memorized by now, and maybe you just kind of want to cut out that ad space, this one right now that you're listening to, so that you can just get all of the content of the episode. Well, if that does sound like something that you're interested in, I've put together a Patreon account, and I'm offering all of the episodes I've recorded so far without that extra stuff, so you just get the content. And I'm also going to be offering members early access to the newly released episodes. So I'll be putting those on Patreon several days before the episode releases on all the other podcast platforms. So you'll be able to listen before everybody else. You can find the link to the Patreon in the show notes. And I'm also going to post on social media, so you should be able to find it on all of my pages there as well. I look forward to getting to know all of you guys better and engaging in some co-creating together. For now, I'll just get back to the episode. See you on Patreon.
I really do feel like I'm onto something with this as far as how to have law of attraction working for you, so that as you move from moment to moment or segment to segment, like in segment intending, where you are getting ahead of it and looking for the positive thing to happen by setting your intention, which is a wonderful contributing factor. Like, that's adding a whole different level to what I'm talking about here. So I think the first step is to first start to acknowledge the good things that are happening right now. Like, that's a good place to start. Just to be like, what feels good to me in this moment that I'm living right now? Allow you to focus on whatever that is. Allow you to contribute to it so that it can gain some momentum. And that alone would be sufficient, I think, on any given day, or just to start out with trying to have fun with this, to see how the universe is communicating with us. Because as we understand how it works, we become an active role in that relationship with the universe. We're not passively allowing life to happen to us. We are actively creating it and experiencing it to the fullest. It makes so much sense. And I'm excited about it because it came to me through this idea of good hair days and bad hair days. But it's so much more than that. So once you get good at that, once you get good at just going moment to moment as much as you can, you can't be completely mindful and focused in the moment at all given times. There's going to be times where you're resting or just allowing your thoughts to flow as you take care of things. But putting a little bit of effort into doing this and seeing the benefit in it would then contribute to a higher vibration, which leads to outcomes like less fatigue, more excitement, more passion, happier feelings. I was telling my husband recently, he was talking about how tired he was feeling. And granted, he is warranted in that because he works very, very hard. Let's see, yesterday he was up at 4:30 in the morning and he got home after midnight. He is a very hard worker. So it would make sense that he would be tired. But I mentioned to him that he should try meditation with me because since I started meditating, I'm not tired like I used to be. And I'm not even drinking coffee anymore. And I'm just more awake. It's an energy I can feel in my body that makes me feel more awake. I don't have as much fatigue. And I think it's because I'm practicing the law of attraction and being a deliberate creator. And when you start focusing on the positive things, it's renewing. You feel like it's contributing to a better overall feeling no matter what's going on. But once you get to that point where now you're just looking around and you're living each moment, looking at the good part of it, there's always something good in each moment. Then you can start really bringing in segment intending and start creating it before it happens. It's great to be in the moment and have outcomes start to go the way you want them to go because you're so focused on what's nice about right now. But think about how much more satisfying it is to get ahead of it, to put it out there and then watch it unfold. When you say things like, wouldn't it be nice if this goes this way or this goes this way? I actually had that happen the other day. I was getting the boys ready to go and I had to grab their swimsuits out of the dryer, and I had washed them the night before because I knew that I was going to need them in the morning. And it was a big load of laundry. And you know what it's like, kids' laundry, all those little pieces of clothing that fill up the dryer, and there's just so much of them. And I was thinking this might be a daunting task, especially because we're on a timeline. I'm trying to get out the door, handling a bunch of things at once. And now I got to dig through all this laundry. But my mind actually didn't go down that track of thinking. It could have easily, where I was thinking about how daunting it was going to be and why, which then probably wouldn't have offered me the results that I was looking for. But instead, what I did was I said, wouldn't it be nice if I open up the dryer and both of their swimsuits are just right there for me to grab out of this whole big load of laundry? Wouldn't that be nice? I'm not even kidding. That's exactly what happened. I went to the dryer. I opened up the door, and at first I thought it didn't work because I didn't see them right away. I picked up one shirt and both of the swimsuits were right there. And I thought, that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. And that's just some little thing. That's some little task that's going on in my day. But it's those little tasks, it's those little moments that when followed by other ones, that's what leads to it feeling like it's a good day. It's just so much fun to be in that situation where you know that you created that. And think about what had to go into that in order to make that happen in my reality. Now, this is where it really gets interesting because that load of laundry did not just stop right now. It wasn't even turned on. So it's not like everything was in there tumbling when I opened the door, which would allow the universe to intervene and come in and bring the swimsuits to me. No, I had dried everything the night before. It had been sitting all night. It had already happened. Last night, those swimsuits were in the very same place that they were the morning of when I grabbed them. And yet, I only just now, in that morning, set the intention, but it was there. It was that way. And that's where it gets really cool to think about, because that means that me setting that intention in that moment was more than just me trying to create something for my future. That was my inner being communicating to me that it was possible and then offering me the thought of the intention. And that's when you really start seeing how the universe has your back. The universe is working for you to give you those moments. There are so many cooperative components in play here. And realizing it, focusing on it, recognizing it when it happens, that's the joy of life. That's what is so stimulating, to realize that I'm doing this and I'm doing it well and I'm enjoying it. And yes, it was just swimsuits in a dryer, but it was so much more than that. It was so much more than that. It was a moment of collaboration with me and my higher self. In that moment of alignment, when I received the idea to set the intention, I was in a moment of alignment right now. I was my whole self. Me and my human consciousness and my higher being consciousness come together. And we had this moment. And it was a rendezvous of alignment with me and me. And I'm getting excited talking about it because it was fun. And life is supposed to be fun. So that was my experience over the past couple of weeks. These things had been happening. That's kind of how these episodes go. It's funny because I had been wanting to record a solo episode, didn't know what it was going to be about, just kind of left that out there and then allowed the idea to come to me. And it came to me in a way that was about good hair days and bad hair days. But it was all these other things that also played in, that now that I'm talking about it, all those puzzle pieces are filling in and allowing me to see how I was led here to having this discussion. The point of this is to relay to you that things are not happening to you. Things are given to you based on what you're offering. And if you do find that you're having a bad hair day, you probably were focused on some negativity and the universe was saying, all right, give more of the same, which ended up being an outcome in that task that you were doing in that moment that didn't quite go the way you wanted it to. But good hair days and bad hair days are not just happening. They're being created by you, by me. And our focus in the moment that we are completing the task. So I'm thinking that the outcome that we receive is directly affected by whatever emotion we're experiencing because of the thoughts that we're having when we are engaging in the task. And I can't say this for all certainty. This is something that's just occurred to me and something that I'm going to be looking for now and seeing if it does play out that way. But it was enough of an aha moment that I wanted to share it with all of you. So I guess the message here is, if you want things to start going your way more times than they're not, the way to get there is to first start practicing more mindfulness. Live in your moment of now, but not just experience it the way it's unfolding. You have some influence over it. And your influence has to do with whatever it is you're outputting, whatever you're transmitting emotionally based on the thoughts you're having. If you can bring yourself into the moment and allow your consciousness to focus there and look for something that you find satisfying in said moment, allow yourself to focus on that. Allow yourself to really feel into it. Why do you find it satisfying? What is it about it? What do you like about this thing that you have decided to focus on in this moment right now? That will build, that will grow, that will gain momentum and offer more of the same. When you get really good at doing that and you're noticing that you're having some better moments, some moments that are noteworthy, where you're really starting to feel better when you're living in the now, start to project it forward and set some intentions for your future. When I did that segment intending with the dryer for the swimsuits, I thought, this isn't something that I'm doing on a regular basis, though I should be, because I do see the benefit in it. That was something that I received because I was receptive to receiving at that moment. And it allowed my inner being to communicate the value of segment intending to me. Because like I said, the dryer had already done its thing and everything was the way it was going to be before I even realized that I wanted it to go easily when I went there to go get the swimsuits out. But my path of least resistance was my inner being offering me this suggestion to segment intend and allowing it to play out in that way so that I could see the value in it. Isn't that amazing? Because your inner being is always leading you on your path of least resistance and leading you toward what you want. And what I want is to enjoy each moment. I want to enjoy my life. I want to feel happy. I want to feel satisfied. And I want to be a deliberate creator. I want to be the one that is setting up the way that things go for me. And this scenario with the swimsuits and the dryer allowed my inner being to lead me on my path of least resistance to confirm that this works. It's validating that what I talk about on the podcast really works. Because though I'm talking to you guys about all these things and I'm making suggestions about things that would be helpful, it's really me living it. I'm exploring it just like you are. I'm here living my life and following the most satisfying path that I can. And I'm noting the things that are occurring. And then I'm sharing it with all of you. So I hope that you found as much value in this as I did. If you're enjoying the podcast, you can show your support by leaving a rating and a review on your favorite podcast platform. You also can follow Dr. Williams' podcast on all social media platforms and subscribe on YouTube and by going to www.drwilliamspodcast.com. Deliberate creation is the key to living life satisfied. And that is my wish for all of you.